Come on. I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking over here. I was looking at this article. I'm so sorry. I'm a dingbat sometimes. Speaking of dingbats, we're going to talk about the government this week. In effort to help first-time home buyers with rising home costs and in all the other things, they have offered something to them. And we're going to talk about that. There's an article about that. We're also going to be talking about corporate investors again, because it seems to have popped up in the news again. One thing I didn't know that a lot of people are like, oh, corporate investors don't own that many properties. Well, they don't own that many properties in every state, but they own a lot of properties through the Sun Belt. And they had like 28% increase in buying in places like Texas and Atlanta, Georgia. Like, they've been killing it anyways. It's at least this week we're going to be trying to keep on track. I do not have a guest again this week because I'm taking a little break from the old YouTubes. I'll be putting out content in a couple more weeks. My normally scheduled content will start coming out in a couple weeks that I normally put out on Tuesday. Those are my edited videos, but I'm working on a very big project for real estate agents currently. So I'm pretty hyped about it. I think it's going to turn out really good. So with that, let's jump into the first article. I see there's some faces I haven't seen in a while. Small Wildflowers is here. I haven't seen you in a while. Plum Crazy 464. Welcome to the stream. I haven't seen you before. You're new. Got Lawnmower here, Diamond Rush Media. Got some old standbys there. I love it. Love it. Charles says they lie. I'm sure they're talking about the corporate investors. I'm sure that's what you're talking about, Charles. It's nothing like the government not to lie. But we're going to talk about that as soon as Eddie gets that article up on the screen. He's on a new computer, so I think it's given him a little bit of problem. Eddie, if you want to go ahead and if you're having an issue getting it up, oh, there you go. He's on a new computer. We got to give him a little break here. White House to roll out a plan for lower first-time home buyer mortgage costs. Well, let's just see what this is. I mean, how much lower are we going to go? The White House on Wednesday will unveil a plan to reduce mortgage insurance fees charged to first-time home buyers, helping to eliminate 850,000 borrowers. Helping estimated 850,000 borrowers save up to $800 a year on the typical cost on the loan, said in a statement. Vice President Kamala Harris will announce a plan to lower fees on Federal Housing Administration's loans in an event in the Washington suburb of Bowie, Maryland. The FHA changes the fees to insure lenders against the riskier loans often taken out by lower income home buyers. U.S. home sales dropped to the lowest level in 12 years in January as inflation-driven. Oh my goodness, Eddie. Holy cow. Where'd you go? Okay. U.S. home sales dropped to the lowest level in more than 12 years in January as inflation-driven interest rates hikes push mortgage rates higher, often making property unaffordable for first-time home buyers. Okay, this is my question to you guys out in the audience. Okay, it's up to $800 a year. And $800 a year is nothing to sneeze at. But do you really believe, and maybe I really want to know, do you think that $800 is really going to make home buyers go, oh, wow, this is the time I'm going to buy because I'm going to save up to $800 a year? In my opinion, this is just a kind of oh, I know you're struggling, so here's a little bit of money. To me, maybe I'm crazy, but I just don't think $800 a year is really enough to make a dent. I mean, when I bought my first home, even if I got an extra $800, I would have been that's nice, but that wouldn't have necessarily been the thing that saved my family from starvation. It won't make any difference. Somebody said over the long haul, no. Yeah. Gotta love the vice president. $800 is peanuts. In this economy, $800 is peanuts. That's what I kind of thought too. And it's, like I said, it's up to. So, I mean, for most people, they won't even get that because the median home or the average price of a home is just under $400,000. Like, really? If you're buying a $400,000 house, $800 is like, I don't know. I don't know. FHA PMI is not is really high anyway. You'll get a better deal with a 740 credit score and conventional financing. Yeah, you can, absolutely. In some cases, though, you can't afford to do that. Like, there's lots of people that do like rural development loans, FHA loans. They consider them to be more risky because these people are buying a less expensive home with a lower interest rate. I mean, a lower credit score. So they usually tack on this PMI that is adjusted for those things. So they're going to give them some kind of like benefit to that PMI. But like, so $800 over, Eddie, what is what, like over 12 months, $800? I mean, how much is that even really bringing down your mortgage payment? Like what, $40? 40, $50 maybe? Like, I don't know. Unbelievable. Oh, I see this comment in here really quick. I just saw this come in. Did you hear about the Seattle's affordable housing plan expects you to pay $77,000 for a building permit? That is what they call it. Yeah. I haven't heard a lot of things about it, but I did see something that was coming up, not in Seattle, but it was in Oregon, that they were going to be taking some of the older buildings, older malls and stuff like that, and doing exactly what I said, which is they're going to be turning them into assisted living buildings, which I was like, oh my God, when they do it, I cannot wait. I think I might take a plane ride up there. If the airlines can get their act together, man. Like every time I turn around, everybody's like, my flight got canceled. My flight got canceled. And it doesn't matter the airline either. They're all doing it. Every single one of them. The cheap ones, the expensive ones, they're all canceling on you. And they're not, it's not even weather. It's just the crew doesn't show up or the pilot didn't show up. It's so bizarre. I really feel like we've like jumped timelines. Like I need to go back. You guys can come with me so we can get back to normalcy. So yeah, I don't think that the $800 for first time home buyers is enough, but yeah, Seattle nearly doubled affordable housing funds. It's not enough though. Last year, the city's investing at $153 million in dozens of new housing projects, but as costs hit historic heights, the need for affordable housing units isn't slowing down. And that was echoed across the United States, by the way. A funny thing about new affordable housing projects is that they are at the glance essentially. Eddie, can you not make it highlighted because I can't see it? Okay, indistinguishable from expensive market rate apartment buildings. A casual observer might see Bertha Pitts Campbell Place project with a glossy ground floor space and splashes of color on the facade and think it's yet another complex with built-in bowling alleys and movie theaters and $3,000 per month rents. In reality, it's with 100 new studios. It's in the Seattle Central District. It will provide a deeply subsidized homes for people with existing homelessness. Oh, okay. Well, cool. Yeah, I hadn't read about it. So yeah, I'll look into that a little bit more. All right. So the next article we're going to be talking about, because corporate investors have been making quite a stir. It was interesting because CNBC just recently did an article. It was a video actually on their website, and it was talking about corporate investors and literally saying exactly what I've been saying for the last 4 years. So I did a poll. I'll pull it up. I have to look on this thing right here because Eddie isn't able to pull it up on his computer. So let's see what the poll is. Oh, maybe Eddie can. Oh, yeah, here's the article, but I'm going to see what the poll says right now. The poll says that we have 111 votes. Oh my goodness. It's making me sign into the darn account. Oh, for goodness sakes. If anybody else could give me the poll results, I would really like that. I don't know why it logged me out of the the joys of technology and live streaming at the same time. It's like unbelievable. We'll get it up there at some point. I know there was 116 votes. It said, should corporate investors be taxed more when buying single family properties? There's caused quite a stir and some controversy with people that do buy homes. Now, when we're talking about corporate investors, we're talking people that own like 50 houses across the United States. Some of them own like 50 houses in one specific neighborhood. I personally think, since they're taking such a big chunk of the pie in many areas, and not only that, that's dictating the cost of high rent in like areas like Phoenix, Arizona, and Austin, Texas, because of these corporate investors. I do not find it to be a problem. This, for some reason, made people in one of my previous streams extremely upset that this was even a thing, that like the corporations should be treated like entities, like people, and the Supreme Court even ruled on that and said they are people. So I don't know. My thought is they have I feel like they're trying to destroy the American dream for our younger generations coming up. Everybody knows wealth comes from a lot of generational wealth comes from real estate. Most people that have earned millions of dollars over history, it's because they've done it through real estate. The most wealthy men in the world and women own a lot of real estate. So so yeah, so that's the thing. So, and you go ahead and pull that article back up, if you could please. If you could please, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Okay, Wall Street has purchased hundreds of thousands of single-family homes since the Great Recession. Here's what that means for rent prices. I'm going to give you a hint. It's going to keep them high. Institutional investors may control 40% of the U.S. housing single-family rental homes. 40%. Oh, by 2030, according to MetLife Investment Management. Let's read that again. Institutional investors may control 40% of U.S. single-family rental homes by 2030. Holy cow. According to MetLife Investment Management, and a group of Washington, D.C. lawmakers say Wall Street needs to back away from the market. I couldn't agree more. What we're saying is don't have private equity buying up single-family homes. Eddie, please don't highlight. It's hard for me to read. I'm sorry. Kahana is a lead author of Stop Wall Street Landlords Act of 2022. What's outrageous is your tax dollars are helping Wall Street buy up single family homes. This is true. This is the messed up part. The single family rental industry got its start with government-backed fallout of the 2008 financial crisis. You guys might remember me telling you this before. When we had a bunch of foreclosures the last time, when we gave out the bailout money to the banks, what the banks did was they just bought back the properties that were just foreclosed on. Yeah. So they lost nothing. It was a rare opportunity to attract institutions to build a portfolio out of these foreclosed properties, said Stephen Yoon. I might have said his last name wrong. As an assistant professor of finance and marginal economics at the University of Texas in Dallas. Since 2010, Tricon, I've told you guys about that, Progressive, American Homes for Rent, Invitation Homes, have each bought thousands of homes. They've also added to the housing supply in some cases for build to rent. I've told you about build for rent. I don't think that's a necessarily good idea either. That's what the private sector's answer to the lack of affordable homes in the area. Instead of building houses for people to purchase, they're like, well, we're helping with the housing supply because we're building these houses so they can rent and live in more affordable rent homes. which is a hose. We all know that. It's almost a captive market, according to Director Jordan Ash of Labor's and Housing in the private equity sector of Stakeholder Project. They've been very explicit about how people are shut out of home buying market and are going to be perpetual renters. They're trying to turn us into renters nation. These calls come from a fierce housing inflation hit in many of the Sunbelt states, including Texas, Florida, and Georgia. The prices in the Sunbelt markets have outpaced national figures for rent of inflation, according to the research by Zumter for CNBC. Between January 2020 and January 2023, rents for two-bed detached home increased 44% in Tampa, Florida, 43% in Phoenix, 35% in Atlanta. That's compared to 24% increase nationwide. Unbelievable. Industry advocates argue that they do not control enough of the market share to dictate the prices in any market. And I call total baloney on that. Large institutions only roughly own 5% of 14 million single-family rentals nationally in early 2022. First of all, let me just say this. If you go on any of those websites, any of the companies that I was just mentioning, Tricon, America Homes for Rent, the numbers of homes that they say that they own are the same numbers since 2017. They have not added one single home to those numbers. And if you look, anytime it's quoted, they said, since 2017, or according to numbers from 2017, they own 84,000 homes. And let's just put it in maybe it's only 5% of the whole entire United States market, but they flat out say we own a lot in Texas. We own a lot in Georgia. We own a lot around Tampa and Florida. They have a concentrated area. If one entity owns 20% of the market in one specific area, they can cause havoc. It's like a monopoly of house pricing because they can decide, you know what, we're going to unload everything we have. Let's just say they own 20% of the market, right? And they decide to just release the masses. They're going to sell all of their houses at once at a huge discount. What's going to happen to the housing market right there? It's going to fall out, right? Yeah. Like, this is not good. The corporate investors owning large chunks of property in certain areas where they can basically decide if the houses are going to go for more or less is not a good thing for the society as a whole. But you let me know what you think. Can you say skyrocket? Well, yeah. So they are evil. So here's the other thing, though. Like, if you had a neighborhood that was decided Tricon's going to get into the build to rent, let's just say, and they make these houses that are very like colonial style, right? And it's in the middle of Texas. Like, those types of homes would not go with the rest of the neighborhoods, right? It would look completely off from the rest of the community. They have all the say. They can do whatever they want. And anytime you deal with a large investor that has property management companies that is looking over several properties, it all sounds well and good at the beginning. And maybe they're well managed like a well-oiled machine at the beginning. But over time, you can ask anybody that rents, over time, they start not doing what they're supposed to do. And if they are having homes, right, that need to have like roof repair, they need to be painted, how long is it going to be before they actually do those things, right? I think they all have their place. Build to rent has its place in a small aspect of it. Corporations owning real estate, single family homes, maybe a few spread out throughout the country, not big tracts across a whole brand new subdivision. Like, of course, we need rental properties, but we have had a lack of building in the United States for over 15 years. Since the last housing bubble burst, home builders have not been building enough homes. When they got back into building, they said, well, we're not going to build those starter homes anymore. We're going to put as much money into like those people that, first of all, will most likely be qualified to purchase a house. It's going to be like their secondary home or maybe their third home. And instead of the downsizers, we're doing the down uppers, and they will build much bigger homes at a higher price point because it's going to give them the most money. Of course, that makes sense for them. But because of that, we have not been building enough houses since, what was it, 2008 was the last big boom in housing production. The problem, it's such a multi-layer problem. And that's why I don't necessarily think there's going to be a massive housing crash. Now, if all these companies decide to fold over tomorrow, the only markets that will be affected by this are the ones where they bought the most houses. So that would be, Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Tampa, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, all of those markets. If they decided, you know what, we're going to just sell all these, those are the ones that would have a housing correction beyond what the rest of the country would have, because they decided to sell those properties. But it wouldn't help necessarily in the housing across the country. It's not going to make a difference to somebody that's living in a small town in Oklahoma, or even in my small town outside of Baton Rouge. So anyways, they're making affordable housing non-existent. And that's the thing, is like, if they're not continuing to build, they're shrinking the supply so much, the market has no choice but to make those smaller homes that would be considered starter homes back in the day so expensive that you can't even start. That's why the age of a first-time home buyer today is in their 30s instead of in their 20s, because a person in their 20s hasn't earned enough income to even be able to buy their first home like they did when I was getting my first house. It's ridiculous. Anyways, Plum Crazy 464 has a question. Here in Oregon, example, Portland area, our minimum wage is $15, and rural is only, in the rural areas, it's only $13 an hour. Most infrastructure will be in Portland are there for nothing to help with the rural areas. Yeah, well, I mean, that's true everywhere. If you look at the infrastructure of rural areas of Louisiana, you would be heartbroken, especially after it rains. It's awful. Casual Knowledge has a question. It says, with all the negative, what is the goals of the first-time home buyers or double or triple mortgage owners should do going into the next 5 years? What is a negative? With all the negative, what is the goals of the first-time home buyers or double or triple mortgage owners should going in the next 5 years? It depends on what they're doing with their other homes. I would say that if you have like 3 rental properties and you purchase them way before the pandemic, they're still going to be income producing properties. So I can't imagine that would be a problem. Now there's other people that bought properties just to have I just want a second home by my family. Those people, which I wish I had that kind of money, but I don't see them having a problem at all. I don't think it's going to be an issue. The people that have 3, sorry, I couldn't type. I only had 200 characters. That's fine. He had to exclude some words. That's fine. Totally fine. Trust me, I can't even type. I can barely talk, and sometimes I can read. So don't even sweat it. Don't even sweat it. Yeah, I'm not really concerned about those people that have second homes. Usually they, when you're getting a second property or even building a business of rental properties, the availability to get money lent to you is a little bit more stringent than it would be if you were buying your first house. They'll be fine. They'll be just fine. And like, that was another thing too I wanted to bring up. Somebody was balking at the Airbnb business, and they were saying, the Airbnb business is going to collapse. And once it collapses, that means the whole housing market is going to collapse. I want you to be aware that there's less than 1 million Airbnb properties across the United States, less than 1 million. And of course, they're concentrated in areas that would be considered tourist destinations. With that being said, not all of them are going to be in that affordable house price, right? Because some of those, you've seen Airbnbs. I mean, some of them are like mansions. Like, you're like, wow, they're really nice. So even, let's just say Airbnb collapses to the ground. that would not, I think the number was 686,000 homes across the United States. If I was, I'm just pulling that number out of my head. Don't quote me on that. But
Super chat. Thank you.
yes, but that isn't
Super chat. Thank you.
either Airbnb business folds, because either A, those people are going to take those houses and turn them into long-term rentals, which is probably a good thing because some of those Airbnb hosts are just ridiculous on some of the stuff they ask. And the other thing is it's just not enough supply, even if they were to all fold at once. It's just not. So CC Moon with a $4.99 super chat, $4.99. My word for 2023 is gratitude. For a roof over my head, a full fridge, a job. If you're alive, you're winning in life. There's so many times that I have to kind of like realize that how incredibly lucky I am. We all get poo-poo on ourselves, like, oh, everything's just not, and I'm like, you know what? There's so much more going on in the world that I just need to just take a deep breath and be grateful. And so I'm glad that you're grateful. That's awesome. That is awesome. Good words. All right, Sage, do you have a question? Do you know where the cheapest land for sale is in the U.S. South? Texas would be one of the places I would take a look at. Arkansas would be another one. We have some cheap land here in Louisiana. If you're going to do that, though, I would definitely check for the flood elevation certificate. And also, when you're going to look in any of those areas, make sure you find an agent that specializes for land in that specific area, because I can tell you right now, not all real estate agents know anything about land. They see a sign in the yard and they're like, oh, okay. And then they take it over to the title company and they take it over to the lender, and they don't know what you should be doing for that piece of land. Like, you're going to need a updated plat map. You're going to need a updated survey. You're going to need to know the flood elevation certificate. All of these things should be provided by the seller. Sometimes they're not, but that's one of those things you can negotiate. If they don't know those basic things, go find yourself another real estate agent. And when you go looking for them, make sure you don't wear your finest dress. Don't wear your Sunday best to go look at real estate property. That's like the vacant land. Oh, no. You wear yourself some overalls and some muck boots. Oh, wow. Starter homes now start at $300K in North Texas. Like back in the day before the pandemonium, you could get a starter home here. Now, it needed some love, not gonna lie. It needed a little updating, but you could get one here for about 180,000. Now it's way over that. It's closer to 275, which is high for our little rural town. I mean, like when I pull out of my neighborhood, I hear cows and goats. So it just seems like, wow, that's crazy. All right. I'm not going to try to say your first name. I'm sorry, but your last name is Hurley. Renting isn't all bad. I have a handicapped family members where renting is better for them because they don't have the ability to care for a home. That being said, it doesn't count for everyone. That's true. And like I said, renting has its place. Like owning isn't for everybody. You're 100% right. The problem with renting is that every single year, no matter what, when you go to re-sign that lease, it's going to go up. Whenever you own a home, like people say, well, your taxes go up every single year. Well, not every area has their property taxes go up every year. And it's not the same or equivalent to rent, what your property taxes go up. Not only that, whenever you own something and you've paid it down for some period of time, you have a little equity cushion when things go to poop. Like we all have problems that come up that we weren't expecting. And you can tap into that equity in your home to get yourself out of trouble so you're not in debt. You can't do that when you're renting. I know there's many cases that renting is better, especially if renting is significantly cheaper than owning a home. But the way that the world is right now, renting is in some areas is more than owning a home. In some other areas, it's right in line with owning a home, but you can't find a home to buy in there anyways. It's like you're kind of stuck because like you qualify, you earn enough money, your credit score is good, but you can't find anything to buy anyway, so you're stuck. And then if you wanted to go shopping, then you have to break the lease, and that's even more money. It's just a different world because I always like renting used to be right in line with the price of a house. Like you were like, it was really just like maybe $100 here or there. And so it was like, yeah, of course I'm going to buy a house. But it's just that that ship has sailed. That dream has gone somewhere else. Question, your thoughts on mortgage interest rates getting back into the sevens? Oh boy. So mortgage interest rates, my opinions or my thoughts are this, is that we're always going to see a roller coaster in interest rates. You could look on Monday, it will be in the sevens. On Wednesday, it's below sevens. On Friday, it's up in the eights. But the following Monday, it's down, almost in the fives. They're always going up and down, up and down, up and down. The thing is if you are looking for a house, just it's one of those times you have to really time it. Like keep looking. Your lender will be on it, be watching. The guy I work with his name is Ryan LaRussa. And whenever he sees the rate hit where he thinks is going to be the lowest for the week, he calls those people and say, you want to lock in now because it's probably going to be the lowest it is, for the rest of the week. Just keep an eye on it. I still say that, we'll get back in the fives at some point. I don't know if it will happen this spring, but I definitely think we're going to be back in the fives. That's my opinion. You guys are more than welcome to put some questions on there. Oh, Eddie, go ahead and throw that comment up there that was given on the live stream last week. Oh, here, Clark, the realtor, has something to say. Before I read my comment, I'm going to talk about Clark real quick. Being a realtor in Atlanta, Georgia, most of my clients have to buy a house about 2 hours outside of Atlanta because these corporations are buying these starter homes, and now first-time home buyers can't afford this city. Good. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Like it shouldn't be that way. And like they're buying up in like everywhere around Atlanta. It isn't just like they're buying up in the most affordable neighborhoods throughout Atlanta. The Atlanta Constitution did a whole article about it and what they were doing. It's gross. All right, go ahead and put that comment back there. There we go. It says, I love this channel and tune in frequently. I just have something that I want to make a big point on. Most of my neighbors who buy homes and move out of the neighborhood into bigger house, we're in townhomes now, decided not to sell their townhome and kept it as a rental. While I respect the decision to help with the income and retirement, as Kristina says to do, like I tell people, if you can afford to keep it as a rental. I can't help but notice how it hurts the rest of us currently renting and hoping to buy our first home. And they're seeing fewer and fewer townhomes being sold. I believe there is a problem and extreme determinant of selling determined to selling the supply of first-time home buyers. So please consider that if everyone does this, how that really depletes the housing. I genuinely hope you can respond to this, Kristina. It's just interesting to see how many of our friends and family are choosing to do this now. And it seems to be becoming a thing to do. When normal people are doing this and corporate investors are doing this and buying up a chunk of the housing supply that's available, things are only getting worse. I do love your channel, Kristina. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay, here's the deal. I understand what you're saying. Townhome communities have always had this kind of problem where it was too many became rental units. What you can do if you live in a community that is a townhome, condo, whatever, you can have a cap on how many are rentals in your area. This is true of even your specific, HOA in your own neighborhood. Even if you have a really old HOA, you can do an addendum to that says you can only have like 20% of the neighborhood can be corporate investors or used as rental properties. And if you have a very active HOA or covenants or a group of people that oversee that, they will stop the sale. And I've had this happen. This is a real thing. They'll stop the sale of a property, if they find out that it's going to be for a rental or it's being bought by a corporation and they're over 20%, they won't allow it. They'll stop it. You can't do it. So I understand what you're saying. I do understand that, but you can also stop it. You don't have to have that happen. You can change your HOA rules to reflect that not all the units can be turned into rentals. On the other hand, too, if you do end up being able to purchase a home, I still strongly advise anybody to keep the townhome as your own rental property, your income producing property. Make sure you put that into a business name, not your personal name. You have your company buy out that townhome, and then you can use that as income producing property for yourself. I always tell people to do that. I tell them to do that with their manufactured homes. I tell them to do that with condos and townhomes. I know what you're saying. I do sympathize, but if the little guy can make a little bit more money, I'd rather the little guy make a little bit more money. I would rather the corporations get it handed to them and put a limitation on how many homes they can own, and maybe some kind of tax hit if they own more than X amount of houses in one specific area. I mean, even your own city could even stop that. Just something to think about. Kristina Smallhorn is such a valuable resource for anyone interested in living indoors. Seriously, in these politically divisive times, she's a golden because she does not fall into political pettiness. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think that if we really strip it all away, I don't think really anybody's really working hard for us as people. Anybody that has a political office. If like every time that I like believe in somebody, like, oh, this is the real deal. They're always disappointment. Humans are disappointments. And especially when they have a political affiliation behind them. It doesn't matter which side, like there's so many. And it actually makes me sad how much has been done to stop people from being able to buy an affordable home. How many programs there could have been available, how they stopped building on so many things, how they've made it so much bureaucracy on building, like the amount of permitting that you need in certain states just to even scrape the ground for home building. They have crippled the United States, and it's all because of politicians. Doesn't matter what side you're on. They both do it. They both do. GD Galaxy says, who are these corporations renting to if rent is so high for the average person? Oh, they found lots of people because they have to find some place to live. So what they're doing is, in some cases, like they're like, oh, you can't afford it. Just get yourself a roommate. And then you have two like couples living in one house in order to be able to afford the rent. I saw an article not too long ago. I don't know if Eddie can find it, but it was basically saying like, oh, if you're having trouble, like if you're having trouble with your rent and, affording life in general, why don't you just start skipping breakfast? So you want us to stop eating in order to afford our life. And that's your solution? Like, who came up with this? It makes me so angry. It makes me so angry. Oh, speaking of angry, but this is some good stuff. So you guys know that one of our sponsors to the show is foreclosure.com. I actually have a special link in my description below, but here's some highlights of this. And let me, I don't have my glasses, so I have to do it like this. It says, well, we target low-priced, distressed properties, bank-owned properties, government foreclosures, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD, pre-foreclosure listings, real estate-owned REO properties, and foreclosure auctions, among others. The best part about, man, my eyeballs. I need glasses. Just like, this is so bad. The best part of foreclosures.com is we make the experience simple to locate between market real estate deals. You can search any area near you in a state, county, and city levels on one easy search. Foreclosures.com updates the nationwide database of foreclosures, letting at least listings at least twice a day. Our information comes directly from hundreds of corporate sellers. Hear that? Multiple government agencies, etc. So, like, one of the things I want to tell you about foreclosures.com is that a lot of the listings that you see on there, you will not see in your local MLS. You will not see them on Redfin. You will not see them on Zillow.com because they're like it's on like a private server, basically. So some of the corporate housing, if they're starting to get rid of them, they're going to be on this website. So if you're looking to get on there, go ahead and do this. So let me tell you a little tip. They're going to be probably ticked that I tell you this. Get on their newsletter. Like, before you use my discount code to, be a part of, like, be able to log in and everything, just sign up for their newsletter. And that way they'll start sending you listings that you might be interested in. And then you didn't have to pay for the service. And then if you decide that you want to, like, go further with that specific house to get all the extra details, then sign up with it. Use my special affiliate link, because you get some money off. You get a percentage of the money off. I think it's like $35 a month. But if you sign up for the newsletter and you're looking for a foreclosure and you just tell them the area you want, you can get the listings. You won't get all the details, but at least you'll get the listings before you actually sign up. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Next time I'm gonna make this print. Look how small that print is. I'm gonna make this print a lot bigger and bring my glasses, because I was like, I'm doing this in the dark. Yeah, foreclosure.com. Do it. It's they offer free email alerts to notify you of any new foreclosures in the zip code you are searching for. Foreclosures properties sell quickly, so you don't have to act as quickly to secure these properties. We have a 7-day free trial, allowing for everyone to qualify for the subscription with no long-term contracts, and member can cancel anytime. Member can oh my goodness, super chat. Hello, Johnny O. Johnny O, man, thank you so much. You're always coming in, giving me a $100 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Never has a question, just coming in for support. Love that. Love that. But if you have a specific question for me, like, please reach out to me, man. Like, you've more than earned it. It's amazing. Oh, and another place to look for foreclosures I wanted to tell you about, besides foreclosure.com, before you even sign up for that, go to HUDhomestore.org. HUDhomestore.org. There's no cost. It is absolutely free. They let you know what government foreclosures are in your area. If you decide to use HUDhomestore.com, they will work with you before they will work with an investor. And matter of fact, if you came in with an offer at the same time as the investor did, and the investor's offer was even more, the HUD coordinator actually works with the owner occupant that they're wanting to purchase way before they'll work with the investor who's willing to overpay for that property. Their goal, their mission is to get people, single family housing, single family owners into that specific house. So always check that out. Always. They may not have it this week, but they'll have it next week. So you have to check it all the time, because they're always rotating out properties. Currently, there doesn't look like a lot of foreclosures coming on the market, but at least keep your eye out, because the jobs market says one thing, but we all hear enough people getting out of their jobs. Like, I don't know. I've heard lots of people being laid off, have you guys been hearing that? Like, lots of people being laid off? I don't understand. I'm like I will say I'm extremely ignorant to what the job market is doing, because, you hear these numbers and it says we increased it by, 150,000 jobs throughout the United States. And then the next, thing you're looking at is like, tech companies are laying off workers. All the social media places are laying off workers. Like, all these big corporations are laying off workers. So I'm confused. If someone can explain that to me, let me know. All right. It says, question, in the current market, without a housing crash like in 2008, what would things need to do to change to stop corporations from buying up all the affordable housing and bring up supply? There's a few things that need to be done. One of them is we have a lot of land that's owned by the federal government and your local state government, and even as close to your county government. We can give that land, not give it, but actually reduce the cost of that specific land specifically for affordable homes. We also can, we just have to build more. That's all there is to it. We just have to build more housing. We could also incentivize home sellers to sell their houses, especially if they have more than one house. There has always been a incentive for people to purchase. Whenever you had your first time home buy, every time you hear, I'm sure you've heard of first time home buyer programs. There's always something for firemen, police officers, but no, there's never been a program for you to sell it, right? So what if you gave the sellers an incentive to sell their smaller homes? Let's just say under 2,000 square feet. Your house is under 2,000 square feet, and we're going to give you a $6,000 tax rebate or something like that because you sold your house. That would encourage people to sell their homes. There's so many different ways to slice this banana. It's just not going to work for everybody, but that would be one way you could do it throughout the country that would make it work, because that's what they do for first time home buyers. Why can't they do it for sellers? That's my thought. All right. By the way, my name was pronounced Chauvin. Oh, Chauvin. It's Irish. Oh, thank you, Chauvin. Chauvin. I'm going to got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you telling me, because I was looking at that and my dyslexic brain could not process. I'm like, I really want to, but I don't want to butcher your name. I would feel terrible. SB, we stop eating so we can eat more, so they can eat more. Grr. Yeah. That art, I think it was by the Washington Post. I think it was like basically saying, like the cost of everything, it wouldn't hurt just to skip a meal. You peasants, you can't afford food. Skip a meal. You'll be fine. Let them eat cake. Like, oh, that was so gross to me. And I'm like, they published this in a newspaper. Eric the Blue with $5 super chat.
Super chat.
Super chat. I love that.
Super chat. Thank you.
You would, you more than earned this with your website tips alone. Thanks. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. If you're talking about the foreclosure.com and had a home store, man, if you're looking for a deal, I've had investors use foreclosure.com and got some pretty good deals back in the beginning of 2020. They got some smoking hot deals. I haven't heard of anybody getting any recently, but that's because there hasn't been as many out there. But the HUD Home Store, man, they will work with home buyers much more than any of these foreclosure sites. And if you're planning on doing an auction site, I'd be very careful and make sure you read the terms of service when you're auctioning for homes, because they can get really exciting, especially if you get a little bit energized, a little paddle happy, like, oh, it's just only $20,000 more. You can get yourself really messed up. Don't do that. I've done it. I did that in Vegas. No, we're Atlantic City. I shouldn't have been. I did something wrong. I was 19 and I was playing in Atlantic City with the coins. Got the fever, man. Couldn't stop. Austin Vincent, question. What type of jobs are they getting? Burger flippers may be a job, but that doesn't mean you're making enough to live on. Absolutely. No disrespect for the burger flippers. No, I get what you're saying completely. Matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who did lose their job in tech, and they have a master's degree. They have worked for a social media site several times, like for several years, and they have extensive knowledge, and they were going in for a job interview, and the what they were offering her for the job and her credentials was $45,000 a year. She's like, I haven't made $45,000 a year since I was my first year of college. Like, this is insulting. And they're like, well, that's what we got for you. She's like, this is ridiculous. Who's going to do that for what you're asking for people to do? Work 6 days a week, $45,000 a year. You're out of your mind. She's like, all these people can say, oh, nobody wants to work. She's like, nobody wants to work for penny wages. It's ridiculous. Plum Crazy 464 has another question. Another statement, I should say. I feel sorry for the people of East Palestine. So many people are going to be displaced with nowhere to go. Their property is now worth nothing. Okay, so here's this goes along with corporate investors altogether. So I don't know if you know this, but the railways some of them are in some of the biggest investors are names you recognize, like Blackstone, right? BlackRock. They are part of these rail companies. And I think that those companies should go ahead and purchase all those people's homes from them, because we all know. I mean, I wouldn't go back there. Would you? I mean, honestly, would you go back there and live there and raise your family there? No matter how much they said that the groundwater is safe and the soil's safe and you can play out there. I mean, even though your eyes are burning and you have a sore throat now, it's fine. I don't trust them. I'm sure many of you don't trust them either. I think the right thing to do for those people is, if you owned a home there, the value of the house at the time before the crash is what they should be paying every single one of those people so they can move somewhere else. And anybody that rented an apartment, they should give them at least 1 year's rent, one entire year's rent, to go pick up their stuff and move somewhere else. That's my solution. They messed up those people's town. They've messed up their lives forever. And you can't put a Band-Aid on this. This was their home, and they took their home from them. And then they're just keep lying about the problem. Oh, the water's safe. You can come back in 2 days. Oh, no, never mind. Well, it's not, just go ahead and drink bottled water, but it's fine. I would drink the water there. And then you come out here and you live here, Oh, the air quality is fine. And then these people are taking tests of them, they go on Amazon, they buy an air quality test. It's way bad. The numbers are off the scale. They're lying to all of them to make it seem bad. They want all of this to be brushed on their carpet. It's like 3 Mile Island, they should give them the money for their house, what it was worth prior to the crash. Give everybody that rented a house the money for a year for rent and let them move on with their lives. Because that town to me is dead. Nobody's going to move there. I'm not moving there. I don't care what the percentage of the income was that they were going to give me to move out there. It wouldn't be worth it. All right. That was my rant. Sorry. I went on a little tangent there. I want to help my son I'm sorry. Let's try this again. I want to help my son buy a duplex. I want to help him with $25,000 down payment. Will the lender question the money I will give him? What is the best way to do this? No, there is no limitation on the amount of gift you can give to somebody. You just have to certify that you're giving it to them as a gift and that there's no requirement of a down payment. This may be different in each state. So this is just a blanket statement, but make sure you check with your lender. From my understanding, what we have here in Louisiana, all you have to do is say, this is $25,000. I'm giving it to my son. He never has to repay a penny. It's his. Or what you could do, if you're waiting, give him the $25,000 now. Let it sit there and marinate for 6 months. Then go buy yourself a duplex. Then they won't even know where, they don't even care where the $25,000 went on. Somebody said, ran on. Somebody needs to say it. I actually, this is no joke. You can look back 3 live streams ago, before anybody was even talking about this crash, right? It wasn't even on the national news. I actually, it was right before the Super Bowl Sunday, I think. The weekend before the Super Bowl Sunday. I was mentioning it to my guest and he's like, I've never even heard of this. What is this? I'm like, this is going to devastate. This is really bad. That cloud of plume of controlled burn. By the way, a scientist said that wasn't a controlled burn. There's nothing controlled about it. If you're releasing gases into the atmosphere without having proper ventilation or proper, they don't know how hot that area got. They weren't measuring it. It was nothing controlled about it. They were just burning it. So anyway. All right. I got to take a deep breath. Question: would you post a link on the HUD website for the that has the foreclosures? Okay, yeah. So, Eddie, if you could well, maybe I need to do it. Or even the moderators, if you could do that for me, because it's HUDhomestore.org. I'm going to type it in, HUDhomestore.org. Da-da-da. Oh my goodness. Did they change the HUD? I think they might have changed it. Hold on. HUD. I'm gonna look. I'm looking on the old Google webs right now for you because now I feel bad because I've been sending everybody. Yeah, and here it is. HUD home store. Oh, here it is. Copy. I'm gonna copy and paste it. Copy and paste it right there. It's going in the comments section right now. Yeah, HUDhomestore.gov. There you go. I must have typed it wrong. There we are. We got it. There, it's fantastic too. I'd love to see a good foreclosure hit the market on there. And it's like generally they're priced right. And then they'll have like on there too, they'll have like a PDF of a preliminary inspection of the house. So they'll let you know kind of like what they have found to be some problems with the house, whether that's the roof or, like, oh, they had to fix the air conditioning unit, those kinds of things. So, just to let you know. .gov, not org. That's it. Thank you. Sorry. Kristina makes mistakes. I try my hardest. Some days I'm just not so smart. .gov, .com, I've even seen .tv. There's so many things like and everybody who's my age remembers everything had .com at the end of it, everything. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, we're .org. And you're like, oh, okay. Yep. If anybody has a question, like this is it. Go ahead and throw it up there. Max Collins has a question. It says, looking at the foreclosure site, how would tax lien listings work? That depend on the state. So in our state, for instance, whenever we do tax properties, you have to go to the tax sale in order to do the purchase of it. You have to have cash in hand too, or a secured loan saying that you can buy that property. So each state's going to be different when it comes to that. So if you're wanting to do that, check with the state rules. Oh, and if you ever see pre-foreclosures on Zillow.com, that doesn't mean anything. Sometimes they'll say pre-foreclosure, and that just means that those people missed a couple payments and they're going to get caught up. Now, this is a little trick. This is a very good trick. So if you see some of those pre-foreclosures on Zillow.com and it's in a neighborhood that you really, really like, write a letter to the homeowner, because you can go. All real estate transactions are public record, right? So you go on the county website. If you live in Louisiana, you go to the parish website, you type in the address, you find out the homeowners' names. Obviously, you know their address because that's where you went. Then you write them a letter saying, hey, I understand you're kind of in a bad place. I've noticed that you've missed some payments on your mortgage because I've been following this neighborhood quite a bit. So I was just wondering if maybe you would consider selling me your property for XYZ amount of money. If you're interested, I know that this seems like a very strange letter, but I'm genuinely interested in your home. Just give me a call. You can even look me up on Facebook. I'm a real person. I'm not an investor. See what happens. Because people around here, sometimes they'll recognize your last name, or they just really need to get out of that house and they don't want to have the embarrassment of being through foreclosure and having all their neighbors find out about it. So you might get yourself a deal that way. It's just another way to get into the housing market, especially when the supply is so limited. Just think about that when you see those pre-foreclosures. Oh, hello, Jesse. Thank you, Mrs. Smallhorn, for the brutal, honest truth in the reality of the real estate market today. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jesse. It's rare that we get a Facebook comment. Wow, I'm excited. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I have a Facebook business page. I just put these live streams on it. Debbie Brady has a question. It says, do they still have auctions on the courthouse steps? Depends on the state. Some of them have them in a warehouse. Some have them at have them in the court itself. Some of them have them at the sheriff's office. So that depends on the area. It could be even in every county, it's going to be different. I shouldn't even say the state. Every county is going to be different. It's going to be different. Oh, here we are. We got our people from Brazil here today. Yay! Welcome, Brazilians. Cam Major says, any advice for co-signers for the first-time home buyers? Are you co-signing for someone that's buying their first home? I would only do this if you truly love them and know that if they can't pay it, you're going to have to pay it, and it's on you. This will affect your credit score. If you are like, if this is your child and you're like, okay, I'm just going to co-sign for them so they can purchase this house. If that child cannot pay for that house, are you prepared to pay the whole mortgage payment or have your credit ruined? It's no different than co-signing for a car. Just, be very, like, I would not do this for anybody unless you were willing to give them a kidney. Like, if my sister called me up and said, I need you to co-sign for a loan for me, I would be like, no, I wouldn't do it. I mean, I'm terrible. Like, I don't even think I would do it for my own kids. I mean, you guys judge me if you want. I don't know. Like, there's some things that if you have the credit, you've worked really hard to keep it that way. And not everybody is appreciative and grateful and realizes how much a burden this puts on you. They just look at the fact that you're signing on the dotted line. So I just be very cautious if you're going to be a co-signer for a loan. Doesn't even matter if it's a house or not, even on a lease, even on a car. Like, you better, like I said, it has to be something you would want to give a kidney to. They have jacked up credit for a reason, somebody said. Sometimes it's not the reason of their own. Like, sometimes they had a health emergency, speaking of kidneys, like, that can ruin your credit. And the way that healthcare costs today, I mean, I can see how it would, ruin a family. And that, like, yeah. Learned my lesson for co-signing. Nope. Made it bad for everyone. Yes, it was a card. Never again. This is like, I'm totally getting off track, but I had a neighbor call me up at the car dealership wanting me to co-sign for her boyfriend to get a car, wanting me to co-sign for him to buy a car. What? I was like, at first I was like, am I actually dreaming? This is a true story. I was like, no. I told her, I was like, I wouldn't do that for a family member. I'm certainly not going to do it for your boyfriend. I mean, I was in my early 20s, but give me a break. I'm not that dumb. People are crazy. I will co-sign for no one anymore. Yeah. No, I don't. I like, even your kids. Yeah. Let me ask this. Okay. So there's 327 of you. Would you co-sign for a home for your children? Would you co-sign for a home for your children? I want to know the answer here, because somebody said people are crazy. They are crazy. Somebody said this is funny. Don't be surprised if your kids aren't there when you need them too, Kristina. Karma has its way. Yeah, I know. I get that. I totally get that. But did my parents co-sign for me to buy a house? Absolutely not. I had to work to get it. Now they did help me with the down payment, but they didn't co-sign for me. They definitely didn't co-sign for me. Actually, my brother helped me with my down payment. And I paid him right back in like 3 months. The FHA doesn't know that, though. No, it was a gift. FHA, it was a gift. This is several years ago. No, what if they got divorced? True. All right, so there's a few yeses in there. There's a few yeses for nobody. Yeah. Nope. Oh, somebody put depends on which child. Depending on the monthly payment, how rich, I'm free, but most of the time, no. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. No. Rob Wilson, no. No. They should be able to afford their own and consider other options. And that's why I talk about, yeah, that was the one. African Dreams in Haze says depends on which child. We all have a family member, maybe not our own children, but there's somebody in her family that you're like, nope. I wouldn't let them borrow a toenail clipper. Forget it. Sign for their college education so they can pay their own on their own. And that's kind of how I feel about it too. Like, I've invested a lot in my children in their education. My husband and I are planning on looking at some investment properties over by the college so the girls can live together and we can have our happy nest over here. But that's going to depend on housing prices. But we're going to help them all the way to the end of college. But I feel like, we did our thing, and not saying that we won't help them with other stuff, but I'm not co-signing for them for nothing. No car, no nothing. Kristina says nothing. I do have one smart thing you can do for your kids to help their credit score is to get a credit card in your name and have them as an authorized user on your credit card, and do that when they're super young. And you may not even give them the credit card, but their name is on it, right? So I did that with my kids when they were 16 years old, put a credit card in my name, but got a brand new credit card in my name, and then put them as a co-signer on there so they could, like, if they wanted to go to the movies, I'd say use this card, so they had their own like credit card, but I would pay it off at the end of the month. Did that for both of them. And that helped their credit score. That was one of those things that helped their credit score. It was great for them in case of emergencies too. Like if they were stuck on the side of the road, at least they have a credit card. I didn't use all my vowels and consonants in that. So just make sure that there's ways you can help build up their credit, especially when they're just first starting out. Just keep an eye on it because teenagers are kind of they're a little crafty, a little crafty. Yes, to help with the down payment. Yeah, I'd help them with the down payment. I'm just not co-signing for them. Like it's like cutting off a leg. If my future kids are responsible, sure. Yeah. No, great way to ruin a friendship and family relationship. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Linda says something really good. She said, if you tell them the right thing, then they'll know how to manage their money correctly. I would help my children with a down payment or closing costs. Yeah. See, that makes sense to me. I know. I just didn't want to sound like I was just a wicked mom. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was a little worried. Anyways. So, just to let you guys know, I will be taking another week off from posting content on Tuesday. If you want to get in touch with me, you can always visit my website at KristinaSmallhorn.com. I'm a little slow on replies this week. I've been extremely busy, but I will be getting to those on Monday. I'll be talking to each and every one of you. If you need to get a hold of me, look, all you do is click on that pink button right there on KristinaSmallhorn.com. They'll give you two options, whether you want to collaborate with me and work with me on a project, or you can work with me on a referral, and you're looking for a referral of a real estate agent in your area. Make sure you put in your phone number. Like, that's the hardest thing. I want to talk to you guys. I really want to have a conversation. It's really hard for me to get a hold of you if you don't leave your phone number. So, so do that. I get a lot of other emails, but this is the best way to get a hold of me, honestly, is through this website, because I get a little ding on my phone and it instantly grabs my attention. So anyways, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Eddie wants me to mention the fact that we do have a podcast. This is actually a recording of this show. You'll hear the audio version of this. And you just go over there and you can just click on any of the previous podcasts. Wow, it looks like I put out a lot now. How many do we got now, Eddie? Oh, we got 8. We have 8 podcasts out there. So you can start listening in the car on the way to work and get your updated real estate advice and newsworthy headlines. So yeah, just go ahead and go over there and subscribe on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, the Apple Podcast. I sound like an old person. Whatever the kids are listening to these days, just go subscribe. So, anyways, I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. We'll see you next Sunday. If you have any ideas of something you want me to discuss in next week's podcast, please put it in the comment section after this video is published. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take a walk along the street if I'm feeling dessert. All of this convenience just doesn't work for me. I wanna play with fire, let me get hurt.